Today we're going to do something everyone loves, calculus. Specifically, we're going to look at the chain rule, the product rule, the quotient rule, and derivatives of logarithmic functions. Okay, starting off with the chain rule. You know when to use the chain rule when there are multiple functions within the function. And that sounds a little confusing, but let's try an example.
If f of x equals 8 times quantity x cubed plus 4x squared plus 1, all cubed, then our outside function is going to be the quantity cubed, and our inside will be that polynomial in pink. So when we do the derivative, we always want to do the outside derivative first, multiplied by the inside. So for f of x, that means the derivative will be 8 times 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 1 squared, multiplied by the derivative of the inside, which is 3x squared plus 4 times 2x. And that all is going to simplify down into 24 times quantity x cubed plus 4x squared plus 1 all squared, multiplied by 3x squared plus 8x. Now let's let f of x equal sine squared of x cubed plus 2. This derivative has three different layers: the squared function, highlighted in pink, the sine function in orange, and the polynomial in yellow. So to do the derivative, we need to do the derivative of each of those layers. Remember, you always start with the outside one first. So that means the derivative of f of x would be equal to 2 times sine of x cubed plus 2 multiplied by the derivative of the sine function, which is cosine of x cubed plus 2 multiplied by the inside, which is just 3x plus 2 when you do that derivative. So when you simplify it down, the derivative of f of x is 6x squared sine of quantity x cubed plus 2 multiplied by cosine of quantity x cubed plus 2.
Now we'll move on to the product and quotient rules. Let's start with an example of the product rule. Megan Cogswell always says to use the memory tool: first times derivative of the second plus second times the derivative of the first. Let's use sine x, cosine x as our first example. So we start off with sine x, and then the derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. And then we add cosine x, and the derivative of sine x is also cosine x. So we end up with negative sine squared x plus cosine squared x as our final answer.
Now let's work on the quotient rule. Professor Cogswell always uses this memory tool of low d high minus high d low all over low low. So let's start on this example.
For this first example, we're going to let f of x be equal to 3x all over 5x plus 1. So I've highlighted the low function in pink and the high one in orange. That way we can see how it goes throughout the derivative. So remember, low d high minus high d low all over low low. So when we just use that, we get 5x plus 1 times the derivative of high, which is just 3, minus 3x times the derivative of the low, which is just 5, all over low low, so 5x plus 1 squared. And when you multiply and simplify the top, you get the derivative of f of x to be equal to 3 all over quantity 5x plus 1 squared. All right, let's do one last example. For this one, let f of x be equal to sine x all over 4x squared plus 2. And again, I've highlighted the lower one in pink and the top one in orange. So the derivative will be 4x squared plus 2 times cosine of x minus sine x times 8x, all over 4x squared plus 2 quantity squared.
Now let's move on to the derivatives of logarithmic functions. Essentially, it's just 1 over the function times the function, the derivative of the function, and I always do over 1, so I make sure to multiply the numerator by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So when we have f of x equals log x, we just do 1 over x, and the derivative of x is just 1, so we get 1 over 1, leaving us with 1 over x. Let's try a harder one. We're going to try 3 log 3x plus x cubed. So we do 1 over 3x plus x cubed times 3 plus 3x squared over 1, which leaves us with 3 plus 3x squared over 3x plus x squared. And then don't forget to multiply it by whatever the coefficient up front is. That's 3. So we end up with 9 plus 9x squared over 3x plus x squared as our final answer.
We really hope you learned something.
See you next time on What is Calculus?